It's play-by-play man extraordinaire, Kevin Harlan. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, guys. How you doing?
Well, we're in both the Western Conference Finals for the NBA and the NHL, so it feels like life is pretty dang good.
Yeah. Good for you.
I know there's a lot to break down from yesterday's game, but I wanted to start talking about the bigs. How much have the additions of Gafford and Lively changed this Mavericks team, and how much did you think it looked like they dominated the paint last night?
Oh, yeah, and the defense, they close the lane, and that is, at the core of how their defense is going to react in this series and what makes them so effective. They've all got a great knowledge. They anchor themselves at the right spots outside the lane with the foot in, foot out, and know that they can play defense on a string. They can jump in the corner if they've got to with the closeout. They can pick up someone, and they know they got someone in back of them. So that is just it's remarkable. We were talking the other day about trades, mid-season trades, and two things stand out about what they got with PJ and with Gafford. And first of all, they fit perfectly. They're slotted perfectly with what was existing. But it all began with the Kyrie trade, as you guys have talked about this forever, but the middle of last year. When they got him, we know it was about a 500 or less with Luka, and it basically took trade deadline to trade deadline, right? February to February, February 23 to February 24 to figure this thing out with those two. But it still was clunky until they get Washington and they get Gafford, who then now puts everybody in the right lane. It puts everybody on the right road, at their natural position, natural role, understandable role. And then the third component of this is that Irving has evolved into what he is. And I don't know what it is. They say that a man doesn't really get everything upstairs connected until he's 28. He's 32. Oh. I would vouch, maybe 44 for people like me. But the point is that he has become truly the best version of himself on and off the floor, in the locker room, on the bench. Like that, the trade, and even getting Kyrie in the first place, all that combined, that formula has led to what we're seeing right now. Like they are in such a good place and the right voice that's in their head, and that's kids.
We were all kind of caught off guard last night by seeing Kyrie be so assertive early and then Luka being the closer. I mean, this team does have two closers. We know that, but it was kind of a flip-flop from everything that we've seen over the last 3 months, if you will. Were you kind of caught off guard by seeing that as well?
Well, I don't know. Yeah, maybe a little bit. I guess I just kind of feel like it's the yin and yang, right? It's like on any given night when you're out of the blocks and they open the gate and you're off and running, either one of those guys can do it, and I think it just changes, in this case, series to series, and in the regular season, team to team and night to night. Teams play differently. They're going to try to defend you differently, and some matchups are just easier than others. And last night they found that for whatever reason, to ignite the game, it was better to have Kyrie doing what he was doing. At the end of the day, Kyrie began it, Luka closed it, and they both in between had all these assists, which set up the majority of the Mavs points. So, they are so connected right now. That, to me, to have what is arguably not just the top 4 backcourt of all time, but maybe the best backcourt of all time. People say, well, what about Curry and Thompson?
Whoa.
Now listen, they're champions in Golden State.
Yes.
I get all that. But this backcourt, for just individual accolades and what they meant and historically where they are, Luka is historically at 25, climbing up the ladder of all these different things. He's been all NBA, more than some other guys that are household names in the league in just a very few short years. And Irving may have, in the minds of people far smarter than I am in basketball circles, best handle, best dribble, best moves with the ball of any guy that they've seen. He's also incredibly bright on the floor and sees so much. This backcourt, to me, I mean, like they played almost the perfect game last night. One guy began, one guy finished. in between, they were unselfish and set up the other guys and get everybody involved. And the result was a win on the road in the playoffs in the conference finals. That's huge. So they're at the tip of everything they do. And then it just kind of, and the great thing is they are willing to get these other players, whether it's Washington or whether it's Gafford or Lively, who's just been phenomenal lately, just like holy cow. So I'm bullish on what I'm seeing. They've got it. They really do. There's something very special about this team peaking at the right time. And that trade by Harrison, that really was the final piece of this whole thing. But it took all those other things, Kyrie becoming what he's become, Luka being a little bit deferential, just all this stuff kind of mixed together. And here's what you got. You got a team that's in the conference finals for the second time in 3 years and with incredible momentum.
Give us a sense of the environment last night in Minnesota. Obviously, you have history with the Minnesota Timberwolves. They've been waiting for a very long time to have a team this good, and what it was like inside that building last night.
Well, it was great. It's they've got a very hungry fan base. This team, arguably in the first 35 years has had spotty success. They've had some big name players that have come through. Tom Thibodeau used to coach the Timberwolves. Kevin Garnett played here 20 years ago, took them to the Western Conference Finals. Jimmy Butler came through here for a year and a half. I mean, like they've had some players over the years, but they've had a hard time getting traction. So if you go back a handful of years when they got Tim Conley from Denver, Tim Conley's the GM that built the Nuggets into what they are now, literally. He drafted Jokic. He traded Gobert. He put that team together. And then Minnesota went to him with a gigantic offer, and I think a percentage of the ownership. And it took that kind of gigantic offer to get him. So he comes here, and then he trades for Gobert. But it was clunky, right? Last year, they just the fans wanted to say, wow, we got this guy, but wait a minute, we got Karl Anthony Towns. We got two bigs. Are they going to play together? Is one guy coming up? What's going to – and it took all of last year to kind of figure out how it was going to work. Then they get Conley, Mike Conley, the point guard. There are two Conleys. Conley's the GM and Conley the point guard, who's just magnificent. And he's a savant on the floor, and he's the connective tissue of the team in how he gets everybody on the same page, organizes the floor, handles the locker room, runs the practice. He's just as essential as anybody on that team. And they came together. So it's really interesting. These two organizations had these two terrific trades, gigantic trades, Gobert for Minnesota and Kyrie for the Mavs. But it took these secondary trades to become what they are right now, which is, 50-plus win teams, both in the conference finals, both with come-from-behind wins to get here in their final game of their respective series. One team beating the one seed, one team taking the defending champions to 7 games and beating them on the road. So, both have very similar stories, doing it perhaps in different ways. But I think the fan base here really appreciates the process with which the Timberwolves have become what they are, as I imagine Dallas fans have appreciated how the Mavericks have put this together over the last year and a half.
As if you didn't know, we're talking with Kevin Harlan right here on 105.3 The Fan. Obviously, game one of the series is the first move, maybe the first couple moves in a chess match. What kind of changes might we anticipate, whether it's defensively or whatever else you want to throw out?
I think quite frankly, the Timberwolves were just kind of like in shock that they won on the road in a Game 7. Not that they didn't believe they could win, but that's a pretty tall order, right? Against the MVP, an all-star in the backcourt, a wild fan base, defending champion, Game 7 on the road, standalone game on a Sunday night. And I think that when it set in and they were down by 20 points in the third quarter and came back to win, historically, that's never happened on the road in a Game 7 in NBA history. No team has ever done that. So I think they were mentally whacked. I don't know that they really. I don't know that they were really their true selves. I think they played them well last night, the Mavs, but Dallas is just they're gritty and they are playing at the top of their game right now. So I don't know that Dallas wouldn't have beaten any team in the NBA last night. Minnesota, Boston, whoever. I think the Mavs just played that kind of game, and those two backcourt guys had that kind of performance. But now that we're in the series, the second game, and Minnesota did not have a lot of success against Denver, by the way, in the second round here. Denver won a couple games, and so the Timberwolves did not play their best at home against them. I would say that the Timberwolves will play a much better, much more a game that resembles exactly what they are. I didn't think they played like they are last night. That was not what they are. I think tomorrow night will be more of a reflection. I'm not saying they're going to win. I'm just saying that they're like Dallas played their best version of themselves last night. Everybody touched it. Fingerprints of all the players on that win, and led by their two superstars. Minnesota didn't have that feel. Edwards didn't play great. Came in a little bit in the second half. I just think Minnesota will. I think they'll show what they are tomorrow night more than they did in Game 1.
There's no way McDaniel shoots the ball that great, right?
No, God, was that unbelievable? Like you almost didn't like you look and go like I look at what was he in the first round against Phoenix? Ugh. What was he in the second round against Denver from 3? Ugh. Like I'm going, holy cow! Like where did this come from? So they kind of wasted a good night from him, which is unfortunate because that third scorer, wherever it's going to be from, for Towns and Edwards, like who's going to be that next? Like is it some nights it's Conley, some nights it's Naz Reid, who was the six-man award winner. It just kind of varies from night to night. Last night it was this Jaden McDaniels, who's a terrific player, by the way. He just really, former first-round pick, late first-round guy, bounced around a little bit. Here he is, signed him to an extension this past offseason. They love him, and he's got like a great NBA body, right? Long, can leap. Now we see can shoot the three. He's dedicated himself to playing defense. With that body, he's like it's an octopus. It's like Doc. Like he's like all over the place. So he's terrific there. Shut down Michael Porter Jr. in the Denver series. So yeah, they kind of wasted his terrific his record-setting performance for him last night. That's the best he's ever shot regular season or playoffs. So, yeah, that was amazing what we saw from him last night. Incredible.
Thank you very much for the time, good sir, and you're welcome back at any point.
And I would gladly accept an invitation. I'm coming down. My wife is coming down back for the game, and we're looking forward to being there on Sunday night. That should be a great scene.